Hello, today is March 2nd, 2024. It's me, Benjamin Brown. It is a Saturday, it's late evening. Um, I'm sort of taking the weekend off just because it's just been so hectic for me for these past like 4 or 5 months. I've been trying to work out and keep my body up. I'm not really sure what it is that's going on. I don't really understand what it is that's happening to me. I essentially was bullied and chased out of my home in North America, and I'm here in Montreal, Canada, filing this asylum claim. And what I believe is meant to happen is believe that I'm meant to expose some sort of corruption scandal within the English and German and French and Italian governments, connected to some sort of religious cult-like conspiracy tied to time travel, tied to advanced technologies and space exploration, and tied to drug trafficking and human trafficking. I'm essentially the proof that the human population has devices installed in their heads that prevents them from actually engaging the true environment, which means that they only really perceive a digital overlay, which means that you can make people perceive visual things or audio hallucinations or even physical sensations by hardwiring and hijacking the cerebral network. So potentially, what this means is that you could wake up, you could think that you wake up and get ready and have breakfast and go to work, and then come home and take a shower and go to sleep and lie down in your bed and never have left your room. And I guess also with the hyperspace, hyperdimensional technology, it is also possible to walk down the street after you get out of work and think that you're getting on a bus, but really what happens is you step through some hyperdimension portal and you're essentially in hyperspace in a hyperdimension bus, while there's a clone copy of you riding the normal bus that you normally take home. And those things are possible things. And I've been trying to figure out just exactly what it is that is expected of me. Up until about five years ago, I actually really wasn't certain that I was Arab at all until about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I didn't really understand that I was Asian, but I knew that I was part native through my mother's genealogy. I didn't know that I was Arab, and I didn't really understand what it meant to be Mexican, and I didn't really understand that the territories misnomered as the Americas are technically occupied by European forces. Although I've been taught time and time again of European conquest and a European presence in the misnomered Americas. Um, there's a lot of art history that's been buried and hidden from me, and there's a lot of scientific knowledge that has been buried and hidden from me. And essentially, I'm coming to consciousness and trying to like see what it is that's really going on around me. And apparently, I've been in a contained and controlled environment my whole life. All the people that I have befriended and considered my friends, and even the people that I've dated, were all actors and actresses, or at the very least, agents tied to either the federal government or some sort of international policing agency, which essentially means that when I was buying drugs and getting high with people, that I was buying drugs off of federal agents or international policing agents, and also getting high and fornicating with policing agents. Uh, Something that there seems to be something having to do with religion tied to me, and something to do with science and scientific facts regarding intelligent design. There's all this really substantive information and knowledge regarding intelligent design that is sort of buried and not really taught. One of the things that is kind of popular in America is promoting ignorance behind the Christian Bible. There was a point in time that I didn't understand that the Christian Bible was actually a really bad thing. And I just sort of thought that, oh, this book has to do with the worship and reverence of God, and this book is a good thing, like I never really understood that it was actually this really kind of like demented kind of twisted assault. Essentially, what I've come to realize and see it as now is that it's essentially an assault on this purported mythological King David. And it's actually this attempt at trying to offer King David up as a satanic ritual offering, so that people can get away with sinning, and people can get away with transgressing against each other, and get away with transgressing against God. And I read this one book, and it sort of started talking about the connection between like the chapters in Leviticus and animal sacrifice, and how like Jesus was the Lamb of God, and how he was meant to be sacrificed that we might be spared punishment for our sins. But I guess the end result was it doesn't really work that way. I mean, I guess that was the whole purpose of Catholic practices, where they have statues of saints, of people that they purport as saints, and they do all these things that aren't really in corroboration with what is taught by the Ten Commandments. Like one of the things that it says in the Christian Bible is, "Thou art circumcised by the blood of Christ," and or if thou art circumcised in the heart, then thy be circumcised in the eyes of God, or something like that. I don't remember. But regardless, what I've personally learned is that the circumcision in some way makes a very, very big difference, and I've been something of a different person ever since I've been circumcised. And there's certain things that I do and certain things that I don't do. But it seems to be this thing that seems to kind of be sliding. I'm not really sure what it is that's going on, and I feel like it's tied to global governments. And I know that the Greeks are big into like the government agencies and government conspiracies and government faculties and things like that. So I do find myself drawn into some conflict, and it's a global conflict. And like I said, it involves imposing homosexuality on people, and it involves imposing promiscuous behaviors on people. And it also involves genetically engineering people and tainting people's foods so that they can be obese, or they can have breasts, or they can be heavy bellied or thick thighed, or big bootied or big butted. And it seems weird to kind of like what I believe might be the truth is that this body of like mystical and mythical knowledge tied to religion might have come around into existence around the same time that drugs have been engineered. And there's like movies to allude to the fact that drugs were engineered sometime in the like late 1800s. I don't know how long we've had coffee and tea for. I don't know how long we've had pomegranates for. I don't know how long we've had blueberries for. But time travel exists as a reality, and as a very real scientific element. So it's always possible that a bunch of the things that we had access to, we went back in time and gave to ourselves in order to kind of usher in a foundation for society and civilization, before we figured out how to create other things and do other things. So I'm currently in this place in Montreal, like filing this asylum claim. I'm trying my hardest to try to be like a God worshiping monotheist, but what I find myself in the midst of is I find myself dealing with this body of mythological text that is purportedly associated with ancient Arabs. And there's some things about it that seem kind of funny. Like the one thing that I don't do anymore, and I kind of like came to terms with here, was calling the day of rest the Sabbath. And that's because it's alludes to the word Abba, or for God the Father. But it seems strange because the law is self-defeating if in fact Shabbat, or the Sabbath, is associated with the initial law. And the reason that it is self-defeating is because the law emphasizes that you're not supposed to practice or worship other deities. And because you're not supposed to worship or practice any other faiths that deter you from worshiping the one true God, there's no way that the body of law known as the Ten Commandments could possibly come from somebody who's associated with pagan ideals or pagan value systems. So so what that means essentially is that either the word Saba, which is purportedly the word for number seven in Arabic, is either removed enough from the word Abba that it is not in any way transgressing against Torah law, or somebody somewhere simply doesn't pay attention to it or isn't at all interested. But I feel like maybe the Ten Commandments were at least created in a manner to be further refined, and that might have something to do with what it is that I'm going through, and that's why it might be my purpose to put down in this video that we're not supposed to call it the Sabbath, but call it the day of rest or call it something else. But I also will say that the word in Spanish for Saturday is sábado, and I don't know how long we've been calling it sábado. But if Judaism is in fact a parallel or a reflection of the circumcision, which I was taught was this way of saying that humanity was perfect, or that mankind was perfect. Obviously, because we think, oh well, God created the universe, and God created the universe and the world and existence and humanity, and everything is beautifully imperfect but perfect. So we know that the whole purpose of being taught these things and purporting these things is to be cleaner and to be full of wholesome growth and experience. So to look upon ourselves and say that there was something that we lacked or that we needed to be cleaner was in fact in sort of a way to recognize that there was something that had to be done or something that was left unfinished, in the sense that we weren't finalized. Like why do we have a foreskin for if we were intelligently designed, and if it in fact is not as clean as being circumcised? So the whole the Jewish philosophy, as I've understood it, is like working in accordance with God and with God. As in, like, God gives us this platform and gives us these tools, and then it's up to us to take these things and then take it a step further. So I believe that might also be within the Torah, and if these things were in some way created in order to engage me or initiate me or to even maybe possibly destroy me, that it is in fact my duty to at least say that it shouldn't be called Shabbat, that it should be called something else. But so it's at this point in time where you can see my Jewish star in the background. It's at this point in time that I'm kind of wrestling with these weird things, and it seems like the Catholic Church was created for the sole purpose of harming this purported King David, who was meant to be a mass liberator and help to initiate mass ascension, in which humans become psychic, time-traveling geniuses and work together in exploring space-time. And according to the purported myth that he's supposed to rule over the world with a hand of righteousness, and that righteousness is supposed to rain forth from the heavens. And I guess most people, not being completely certain of how old these things are, and if these things were in fact created around the same time that they engineered drugs, then it is in fact alarming that we would be in a situation to have a ruler who's pretending to be somebody that isn't imposed on us. And that's not something that I live in agreement with, but I've thought about it several times, and I've reflected on it, and I thought well, if there was this King David and he was an Arab, and his purpose was not just in worshiping God, but perpetuating mass liberation over and over again because of the situation that we found ourselves in, then I really wouldn't want to hurt this guy. I also thought, well, King David, being this important figure, there's no way he wouldn't breed with black people and there's no way he wouldn't breed with white people, and there's no way he wouldn't breed with Asian people. And eventually, like, maybe there was this point in time where we would all have put in on this King David character, and that he would be there'd be an Asian David and a black David and an Indian David and a native David and just all these different Davids, and that eventually would be like an amalgamation of all the different like conflicted and warring species of human that we find on Earth. So I never really thought like, oh, this sounds like a terrible thing. The other thing that I didn't really know is I didn't really know that Germany had conquested so much of the world. And apparently they had. Like, it never dawned on me that the reason that they call it Australia is because of some association with Austria. And I am part German, apparently, or purportedly, or at least I believe that I might be part German. So it's something that's kind of bizarre to me that I might be related to one of the like major conquesting tribes that the Earth is kind of had imposed on them. And it leaves me in a situation where I'm extremely conflicted, because I feel like it is my religious duty as being somebody who's sort of tagged in to this global challenge to cater to the needs of the Aboriginals of Australia, and at the same time try to figure out what it is that's really going on with Germany. I don't know exactly what it is that's going on there because I've never been there, but I have heard, and it is purported through popular culture, that homosexuality is actually a big problem there. The Catholic Church has a presence there, which means no matter what it is that's going on there, can't be good. I'm extremely conflicted about what it is that's going on in my home of Mexico and all of my cousins' territories, because I'm not really too happy of the way things are for them there. The standard of living is substandard in comparison to places like North America and Canada, and it's part of the reason that there is like this inequality when it comes to like economics and economic, like the pay wages and things like that. It's just like, it's ridiculous how hard it is to survive in Mexico. I've been there, and it's like one of the things that it just makes it so hard to survive in Mexico is that entry level wages is like, I think like 300 pesos a week. And when I was living there, I was actually living on the street, and I barely had enough to buy my own food. And I would buy like beer, and I would buy alcohol, and I would drink alcohol, and I would like eat, but I was eating stuff like soups, and I was eating stuff like chips, and I didn't even really get a chance to like eat a lot of like food out. Like, I didn't get to eat, like, it was a little treat every time I got to buy some tacos, or every time I got to buy like some tortas or something. I never really could afford to do all those things. And it's just like impossible to live on the street even, and then afford a cell phone, and then work a job, because the entry level wages are just so low. So I am Benjamin Wilford Brown, German, Englishman, native, Arab. I don't even know. Like, I'm still like trying to figure out who it is that I am and where it is that I come from. And my life might be in severe danger here. And I might be unwillingly and unknowingly perpetuating a system of oppression on the people of the world. But if the point is to gain some traction for the general public, so that we could have access to the technology, so we could see each other, and so that we could be cured of our diseases, and so that we could fix everybody so that they're psychologically sound, then there's no way I wouldn't want to participate in that and help to do those things. But this is just the moment in which I am in, and they've kidnapped my children, they've murdered my family members, and I don't know. I don't know who I can trust, and I don't really know who I'm surrounded by. And I don't even know if I'm interacting with a hologram shell, or a complete hologram whenever I go to work, or whether or not I've even gone to work, or when I go to the grocery store, if I've even gone to the grocery store. It's a possibility that I've not gone to the grocery store and somebody just comes in here and puts these things in my fridge. Because that's how crazy this technology is. And you can occupy hyperspace. And then somebody without the ghost technology could be in my room, and I would not even see them, simply because of the digital overlay that they uh, put into my brain through this hyperspace implant that is in my head. So that's totally possible too. There's like could be somebody in your room and you wouldn't even see them because of the digital overlay, because it essentially makes you deaf and blind to them. So I'm a little upset because I've been getting stuff in my food and crud in my food that's been giving me a belly, and I think somebody's trying to make me run. But I'm not interested in going for a run outside of my schedule. I've been trying really hard to like stay healthy and stay physically active, um, but somebody's getting in the way of that, and somebody doesn't like the idea of my being capable of physically defending myself, and I have a problem with that. It is in fact against the law to inhibit somebody's capacity to physically defend themselves, and it is in fact against the law to inhibit somebody's capacity to read and somebody's capacity to learn and to study. I mean, isn't there like freedom to travel, and freedom to travel, like freedom to happiness and things like that? But somebody specifically me isn't letting me. Somebody somewhere specifically isn't letting me read. Somebody somewhere specifically feeding me tainted food to make me fat, and somebody somewhere specifically feeding me food to make it look like it's my fault that I'm fat, and somebody somewhere is feeding me, not letting me read and not letting me do my stretches and not letting me do all kinds of things. And I don't really understand how somebody could justify that if I'm here in cooperation with some sort of old ancient 150-year-old state operation that was meant to expose corrupt officials or officials that weren't willing to practice honestly or um, honor their responsibilities to their subjective communities. Another person that I was made aware of was Winston Churchill, somebody who was seemingly loyal to the English. I mean, whatever work Winston Churchill did essentially put the whole of London into hiding in the subway trays or the under the rail carways. So when Germany bombed England, purportedly, that there was actually nobody was hurt, but somebody at least knew about the chemical play on the food enough so that Winston Churchill was actually a very heavy set man. Probably wouldn't be very good at defending himself, and probably couldn't run away from somebody who was trying to attack him with a knife or with bludgeon him or something. And I also know that the retaliation against Germany for bombing London wasn't at all prepared for, purportedly, according to history, right? They bombed, I can't remember where they bombed, Dresden, maybe? Not Dresden. Maybe it was Dresden. It might have been Dresden. But somewhere they bombed Germany, and I guess Germans weren't prepared for it, and a bunch of Germans died. So, I don't know, this is just like really weird. I don't understand how it could be watched by agencies, but nobody's like arresting anybody for artificially inseminating the women in these communities. Nobody's arresting anybody for invasion of privacy. It can't be beneficial to the state that engaged me and told me that what they need from me is to train to be a fighter, and to train to be capable of defending myself, and to learn to try to be a time-traveling astronaut. It can't be in their benefit to obstruct me from doing those things. That just doesn't make any sense. It sounds like it might just be an elaborate trap in order to consolidate and reassert teams of people that are willing to harm and hinder the general population in favor of synthetic gene pools of people, and maybe gene pools of people that believe that they're nobility or tied to some sort of important figures throughout history or something. That was the other thing, is just like, it's so crazy. Like, it's also a possibility that before I came here to Montreal, that I've spent my whole entire life on some underground military base with my brain hooked up to a giant computer, and that at the point in time that they like released me from a jail in Lynchburg, Virginia, or I thought that I seemingly got released from a jail in Lynchburg, Virginia. It was the first time that I'd ever been interacting with reality. So it's totally possible to grow humans like this, and to make humans think that they've been interacting with the true environment their whole lives, and then simply just release them from places like jails or hospitals, and they'll have thought that they've had these whole entire lives with parents and family and friends, and then they get released into the environment never having knowing that none of those things ever really happened, or they happened in a digital environment but not real environment. And these things are in fact transgressions against, like, you know, human rights violations and things like that. And I've been trying to get a hold of like human rights organizations in Geneva and things like that, but nobody seems to be responding to me. Nobody responds to my mail. Nobody responds to my emails. I'm essentially isolated and being isolated from the community. Most of the people that I seem to be surrounded by seem to be like North American. I don't really think they're Canadian, but they might be Canadian, and they might not be, and I don't really, like I said, I don't really understand what it is that's happening here, and I don't really understand what is happening to me. But my very real fear is that the economy is going to collapse because of something that I could have done and didn't do. And if the economy collapses, then there's a bunch of people that are living in poverty that die. And there's a bunch of people living in middle class and even higher and highest middle class that will never be able to achieve the ridiculously wealthy amounts of living conditions that all the other people that have access to those things possess. And I'd like very much to be the springboard, or help to be the springboard for humanity to jump into a righteous and awesome future. And I am naive, and I am a little shallow-minded, like my consciousness is extremely shallow. I can be seemingly impulsive, but my impulses are all things that are like triggered. My emotions are triggered. I miss my father a lot, who was murdered because of this operation. I'm really confused about the people that I grew up with, and I'm very confused about the people that I considered my family. All I can really say is that I'm trying my hardest to try to keep my body in shape, because I have the whole entire North American police ready and willing to gun me down, and it has something to do with the rape of my purported children, as well as possibly my children, my real children. Even if they're clone copies of my children and they rape them because of me, then I think that they still technically count as my children, and it's still totally my business. But I don't think it was just the North American police. I think it was also the CIA and the FBI and Interpol and all kinds of other people, interesting people, right? Interesting. I can't be covered in muscle unless I rape a little boy or unless I rape a little girl. So that means that all those guys, those big bodybuilder guys with like six-pack abs and huge shoulders, they're totally in on some pedophile rape, or they're totally in on some drug trafficking or human trafficking. And it's the reason that I can't have those things, because nobody trusts me. But they had to do something illicit or underhanded in order to earn everybody's trust. Because the minute that they're like, there's a situation where they might lash out at them or something, they can just be like, yeah, well, you know, I'm going to tell everybody that you raped this little boy. And then nobody in your community is going to respect you. And I'm not really willing to give these people some sort of leverage against me. So it seems like to be part of the reasons that they're all threatened by me, even though I was sort of made to be threatening. So, I'm going to keep this video log short. I'm really upset about the things in my food. I'm trying my hardest to follow through with this thing for everybody. I don't know why or who's poisoning my food, and I don't really understand why somebody feels like that's justified, or why they feel like they're justified in ruining my clothes, or why they feel like they're justified in ruining and lessening the weight on my gym equipment. They're also ruining my resistance bands, and I'm having trouble finding anything that's particularly reliable. But I have to be here, and I have to do this thing, and I have to wait for some sort of response from the English and French governments. I'm seemingly at war with the North American government, and they have my children. I believe that they kidnapped both my son and my daughter, and they have access to all these things that are important things. They have copies of me. They have ways to frame me. They have ways to poison my food, and they have ways of getting what they want and what they need to do whatever it is that they want and whatever it is that they need. So here I am, mystical, magical place, right? Like, oh, isn't this place mystical and magical? Yeah. If you want to have access to these mystical, magical things, you have to rape a kid. If you want to have access to these mystical, magical things and explore yourself and be a poet, you have to like sell crack cocaine to your cousins. That's literally like the situation that we're all in. It's just like, if you want to have like access to all these things, you have to sell like heroin to your cousins, and it's just like this is like a really messed up thing. And I'm like trying my hardest to like try to just have a good time as much as possible, but it's really not possible. And I'm always being like psychologically harassed, and I'm always like being like, somebody's like really intent on trying to make me racist against black people. And like the best that I can do is like shout back at them with like, yeah, well, you're no better. You're like submitting to the people that are in charge of dressing you and your men up like women. And it's like, you're showing loyalty to the people that like have imposed homosexuality on your communities. It's like, I don't understand why you've got to like harass me, and I don't understand why you've got to do those kinds of things. I mean, I don't understand. I really don't understand. You go out of your way to show me exactly how brilliant I'm not. But I don't understand how this makes you any more brilliant than I am, or how this makes you any more superior, to lash out at me with racist comments or anti-European comments, because whoever Europeans are, whoever these people are, they don't have a very high opinion of Europeans. And whoever these people are, they really don't like black people. So that's my life at the moment, and I'm trying to hold on for everybody, and I'm trying to do whatever it is that I can do for everybody. That doesn't give you the right to just walk all over me and to steal my stuff and to put stuff in my food. But I am trying to follow through, and I do mean well for the greater community, and I do mean well for the global community. And I do have a problem with transgressing against the rights of the native people. And I also have a problem with imposing idolatry on me. But I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to follow through for everybody. I miss my children. I've been sending them Amazon gift packages, but I don't even think that they're getting them. I've been sending them to this one address, to this one family that works for the United States government and that has it out for me, hoping that the boy that's there, that's my son, is getting the packages that I'm sending, which he might not be, because I don't really know how close they are with that family or not, but apparently they have some sort of relationship that I didn't even know about. And I don't even really know who it is that I had kids with. And that's life. Like, that's life. That is life. So, please let me know if there's something that I can do for you, you righteous and salvageable members of society, and salvageable and righteous members of the human species, because I'm eager to please. And I've been
trying my hardest to try to figure this thing out, and I really don't know what more I could be doing or what better I could be doing to show people that I worship God, and then show people that I'm sincere about serving them and saving their lives and saving their children's lives and giving them an organic future and a space time traveling super genius psychic future, because I would love to contribute to all those things. And I would love to be a part of everybody's family in some way, shape, or form. Um, so, and the other thing that I won't do is take away your swords and your spears. So just be aware that that's not what I'm here to do. All right, bye.